crazy family.
We have 4 kids. We have Elena Rose, she's 8. Charlie, he's 6. He's gonna be 7 soon. And then Dahlia is 4. And Carolina is 2.
But Elena Rose was our first, and such a joy, such a gift.
Now she's doing sports and she sees friends. So we have to balance that out with the activities at home, with hanging out with the family and her friends, and the sports is just a balancing act.
I tell Charlie, we're the men of the house, and we gotta, take care of things. And if I ever go out, and it's just the girls at home with my wife, I tell Charlie, hey, make sure you help out, be a good help to mom. And it's funny, on the one hand, he plays really well with his sisters.
I think he definitely needs some boy time. He definitely does. He will have a tendency of playing a little rough with his sisters. Sometimes they agree to wrestle with him, and then that doesn't work out.
He's such an intelligent boy. He loves puzzles. He loves thinking through things. He still loves running around and just being a crazy kid, but he's also very quiet and reserved and pensive. And so it's wonderful to see all the facets to Charlie. Our third child is Dahlia Margaret. Dahlia Margaret is 4 years old.
Dahlia goes every other day. She goes 3 days a week to preschool. She loves friends, so we're providing the opportunity for her to hang out with some other kids.
Dahlia is my mother-in-law's name. Margaret is my mother's name. So it's both mother's name. And we really feel that Dahlia, almost that they passed, Dahlia and my mom, that they just passed each other. And it was a true gift. Dahlia brought joy to my family at a time my mom passed away. That was just so challenging for my father and for us as siblings. And everyone says, when you just look at Dahlia, she's just love. She's a ball of love.
With Carolina, it's more making sure she's eating what she needs to eat, and taking her naps, putting her to sleep, and just all the things that she would not verbally express, but you need to keep an eye on.
Carolina, names come in and out. That was a name that we had liked for a long time, and it actually means song of happiness. It's related to a Christmas carol, Carolina. And Sophia is my wife's name. It's very common in Mexico to use her name. And so Carolina Sophia, she's 2 years old, born on September 11th. So that was a day as we approached, obviously September 11th. I was in college when September 11th happened. It's very vivid memories here in New York. Some of my students and families that lost loved ones in New York City. So we were in the hospital, and I remember my wife saying, I don't want her to be born on September 11th. And obviously you can't control those things too much. And we just said, you know what, we're gonna be celebrating the birth of our child, of Carolina.
What we have found out is definitely to have a good structure it just makes it easier for a big family. It's also good for the kids. It makes them more peaceful and less stressed when they know, when there's an expectation of what is happening in their lives. When there's a structure, it just makes them more peaceful. We don't say we're very rigid and strict with it. There's some days, sometimes that things change, and they're very flexible. They roll with it. We don't make a big deal out of it if things, fall off the wagon. But overall, we try to keep a consistency in their routines.
Soph and I continue to talk about establishing quality time with each one of the kids and how important that is. And our attention is constantly sought after by our jobs and services and other things. But I think Soph and I keep each other in check, trying to make sure that we're spending quality time with the kids.
I have to say that I just spent a week with my family in Colombia, and I was without my husband and kids. And there's only so much you can do. We were going out, and I didn't have the kids with me, and I felt empty. It felt like my purpose of life was absent. So in the last 2 days, I was telling my husband, I was so antsy to get home. I was so antsy to my purpose. I was so antsy to my life, our kids, they're a joy. They're a joy and they're a fulfillment in our life. You know, I see them, the plan of the Lord for his kingdom and the purpose and the future for our church, for the future of the family.
If I didn't have the kids, I feel like I'd be bored, you know, watching movies endlessly or something, but there's no better use of my time than hanging out with them or being with my family or doing a family trip. It's just the greatest.
When I was 17, my parents sent me to New Jersey for sort of like an exchange program where I needed to practice my English in order to start college. I'm originally from Monterrey, Mexico. So in order for me to start college, I needed to do some practice to my English, so I didn't have to take those classes once I started college.
Well, so what happened is she came to my school. She had already graduated, so she came to do some service work. And so she was helping in one of the elementary grades as a teacher's aide.
I went to the school, and the principal very kindly said like, okay, you can help the teachers in the morning, be a teacher aide, and in the afternoon I took English lessons with the seniors.
We started to become friends at that point, but it became a running joke that sure, I'll help you with your English. And you know, it was just back and forth. It was just very friendly.
It was an amazing experience. It changed my life, getting to know that school. Is a private Catholic school, and that's where I met Tim. We developed a friendship, and which later on evolving to our relationship of dating.
She was a holy, amazing girl. And I think that was the most striking thing, and it's always been, of her holiness. She was just virtuous, so inspiring to me. And really, I felt almost like I didn't deserve this girl. And I remember very early on, you know, I had gotten my license earlier that year, and she went to a different church with the family, and so I started going to that church. And my family went, why are you going to this other church? I'm like, no reason. But I'll always remember the day I went to this mass and we received communion, and she came back to her pew and I came back to mine, and I was kind of, you know, trying to find her and, you know, check out what was going on. And she had her eyes closed and was praying. And I was just like, Tim, you are an idiot. You're in church checking out this girl. And she's here because she knows why she's here. She's praying. And you don't deserve that girl. You really don't. But it inspired me to start to make changes that I didn't even make for God at the time. But I said, you know what? This girl is motivating me, is inspiring me. And it drove me to bring myself closer to God. And that's just ongoing in my relationship with her. I feel like she points me to Christ every day.
We dated for 6.5 years, long distance, because I still went back home and started college. But we had a great support group, and I think we had a goal in mind. We wanted what the Lord wanted of our lives, and we took a break at some point.
But at the end of it all, the Lord really led us to each other. I wanted to propose to her. I'd already given her a promise ring, which in the Mexican culture, it's kind of like it's not ready, it's not time yet, but you are the one. And so I'd given her a promise ring. It was December, and I called up her father a few weeks before my trip, and I apologized. I said, Mr. Prieto, I hate to do this on the phone, but I want to ask Sophia to marry me. And I want to do it the second I arrive on my trip. And so we chatted a little bit forth, but he was very excited. He gave me his blessing.
He proposed at the airport, and he said like he wasn't sure how he was going to do it, but then when he got to the airport, he's like, this is the place, I have to do it now. Because also he was nervous. He was carrying the box in his pocket, and he was like, you know, like I don't want to lose it, and like he was so nervous.
I walked through the security, I greet her and her sisters. I let 2 of her sisters know so they could film it on camera. And she greets us in the airport, and I remember being like, this is the moment. And I hug her, and I just didn't let go of her, and I'm searching for the right words, and I said, so what do you think? You know? And she's like, what do you mean, what do you think? And so at that point I got down on my knee, and I asked her if she would be my wife.
I said yes.
And there were people all around watching it, and they clapped for us as we celebrated her yes. That second, we drove home, and then the rest of the visit in Monterrey was doing wedding stuff and celebrating with family and friends.
We got married April 14th, 2007, and we got married in Monterrey, Mexico. It was an absolutely amazing wedding.
It was quite a large wedding, which is, in Mexico, your friends of your cousins are your family, and the mass was at the Cathedral of Monterey, which is this beautiful cathedral, the same cathedral where her grandparents had been married.
Our journey had a lot of struggles, but somehow the Lord brought us together. And the people that were with us through that journey were there at the day of our wedding. And it was just a joyful event. There was so much joy in that party and that mass and everything. It was just contagious. It was a beautiful event, definitely.
People always ask you how many kids you're going to have, and some families have an exact number. And for us, we never had a number.
I am from a family of 11 kids, and my husband is from a family of 5 kids. So we knew in our heart that definitely we wanted to have children, that children were such an amazing symbol of love in a marriage. It was actually very amazing, that first pregnancy, because we were married probably for 6 months, and I was having some medical issues. And when I went to the doctor said to me, there's some things going on and you need to get them checked right away, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to have children.
And they were recognizing there was something going on with her thyroid. Every over-the-shelf pregnancy test would show up positive, but we knew that she wasn't. So they said, you need to go see a specialist. We don't know exactly what's causing this, something in the hormones. And it was during this time that she actually did get pregnant with our daughter, Elena. And so fast forward about a month later, we still had an appointment with a specialist set up, and she went back to this doctor and they did another blood test and they said, wait, you're pregnant.
So for us, we knew that that was the Lord. That was the Lord. It was his plan for that child, and that was Elena Rose.
Having our second, a boy and a girl, amongst my family, friends, strangers, like, you just fit in really well. And I feel like as a Catholic Christian, you're a liked person. If you live it out well, you're kind to others, you don't steal, you don't treat others poorly. And so I feel like we fit in as just kind of a nice family and a nice couple. And then you have your third, and people start to realize something's different about these people. And it was almost refreshing to be like, yeah, you know what? We're, like the Lord said, you're not gonna fit into this world and this culture. And if you do, there's probably something wrong. So I think having our third, people started to have questions. And then once the fourth came, now they're just kind of like, all right, this is crazy,
So we decided, no, we're not gonna put a number. We're gonna go in with open hearts and let the Lord send us his blessings in his timing and in his way. And that's how he has been. When people tell me all the time after I have a kid, are you done? Are you done? I'm like, I'm not done. First of all, I'm not in God's mind. He has his plan for my life and our life.
We had 4 children with no problems. And then we had our first miscarriage. And then Sophia got pregnant again, and everything was healthy. She was very sick, which is a good sign for us. She's just very, very sick for the first 12 weeks. And it was into the 12th week on a random, regular appointment. She called me at work and said, Tim, and she was very upset, Tim, they're having trouble finding the heartbeat. And it was just out of nowhere. And I was able to leave school. I met her there, and they said, we can only find a faint heartbeat. We don't know. You have to come back in 4 days. And that left us in limbo for 4 days. And we didn't know. They said, there's a chance this can happen. Check back with us. And when we went back, unfortunately, we had lost the baby.
And that was a very strong pain that a lot of women go through. And it's not spoken a lot. And that's a suffering that is very intense to a woman's heart. And through that journey, somehow the Lord makes it really soothes your soul. It really soothes your soul. He is a faithful God, and he is good. And I cannot explain exactly how the Lord does it, but when you trust your suffering in him. When I married Tim, Bob and Marge, that's Tim's parents' name, Bob and Marge talked to my parents and said, we'll take care of her as a daughter. It's like, we'll be we'll be there for her. Don't you worry, we'll be by her side. And they were by my side. Even to this day, my father-in-law, he's always by my side and supports me. I get lost somewhere, he comes to my rescue. I mean, he really is like a true dad. And my mother-in-law, she was not only a mom, but she was a friend. She was a support. She was there for me. Like, she would call me regularly during the week if I needed anything, if she could do anything for me, or just to talk and be a friend. And that was difficult to lose her. She struggled for 9 years with colon cancer, and the Lord took her May 27th. And it's been hard to live without her, but there is tremendous blessings that have come with that struggle, you know, of not having her. We have developed a great relationship with my father-in-law, developing a great relationship with my mother-in-law's family.
My family is a blessing because they make me forget about myself. They make me love more. They give me purpose. I will quickly lose myself in projects and ambitions and ideas. Some of them are good things that I'd like to do. But at the end of the day, there is a little human in front of me that is learning from me and my wife and our love, and they're learning when we think they're not even watching or not paying attention. And they've drawn me to my knees in the morning to pray, to be a better father and to be a better husband to my wife. They invite me on a daily basis to love my coworkers and friends and to be the best version of myself that I can be.
My family is the greatest blessing of my life. It really comes to be, they're my vocation, they're my purpose. And the way they fulfill me with joy and excitement for life, the hope I see in them as the future of humanity, you know. My children are a small portion of that. When I see them and I see their joy and their the greatest things they have, and it's like, wow, it's amazing. What a joy. And also, like, what an honor I have to get to raise these children. I'm abundantly grateful to the Lord for each one of them.
We've started to carve out time to pray together as a family. And you need to look at what's the best time in your day to be together as a family. For some, it might be first thing in the morning, or it might be at the end of the day. But by us praying together, we've tried to encourage them to pray. So we let them lead it, and they just say, all right, who do you want to pray for? And they started to get into the pattern of just praying for people. And all right, let's say a prayer together, and leading them through, having them learn prayers. Even making the sign of the cross. At a given day, you'll have 4 different versions of it, but they're slowly learning how to do it. And the fact that they'll even pray with me. I'll have a headache, and frequently, if I come home from a late meeting at night, I'll still go visit them. And I'll have a habit where, since we pray, I'll just say, Dal, hey, Dal, can you just pray with me? And there was one time, without even asking, I just said, oh, I have a headache. And my Dahlia, put her hand on my head and just said, Dear Jesus, bless Daddy, take away his headache. Amen.
We've tried to make prayer like a more of a natural language in our family, like it doesn't have to be like this, serious occasion, let's all get together. Sometimes we're in the car about to hop on the highway. Guys, let's say a prayer so the Lord protects our trip. And, we're home and we hear someone needs some prayers. Guys, let's stop. Let's just say a quick prayer because so-and-so needs some prayers. Just kind of make it like a natural language in our life. So we still have if possible, like I said, a time to pray and everything, but then just make it a natural language, something that is very natural for us and the kids. When
my mom passed away, I felt that loss. And for the first time, I remember I didn't pray the rosary a lot. And I saw Mary with new eyes. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and it was just the morning, and I was sad. And I just remember praying to Mary, Mary, be my mother. Just be my mother. And it took a new meaning for me. And I was walking and running in the mornings to start my day, and I frequently have a rosary in my pocket. My wife, when I was dating her, used to keep a rosary in her pocket all the time. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna do that. Every time there's change or chapstick or anything you need, you've got a rosary in your pocket. And so I started praying the rosary, more Hail Marys a decade, but starting to connect with Mary in a very unique way, that she really is my spiritual mother. She was a gifted to us by Christ.
She's taught us how to follow Jesus. First of all, she taught us how to say yes. You know, she was young. She didn't know what she was doing. Like, she probably had some understanding, but she just said yes, you know? And I feel like sometimes we're so focused in like all the things that we have to say no to. It's like, why don't we just say yes to Jesus like Mary said? She just said yes, you know? And we try to make that our life. Is like, we're just saying yes to Jesus. It's not like the little details that we're saying no to. No, we're saying yes to the Lord. And I think Mary has become our greatest example of that. As a mother, Mary is my support and my strength. I like to have in every corner of my house to have a reminder of her. Because as you go in life, in the struggles, in the craziness of what you're doing with life, she's right there, and you take a glance of her, it reminds you your mother Mary in heaven. You know, it's just like, yes, she's right there, and she's watching over us, and she's my guidance, and she's leading me to her son.
Sophia loves our kids so well, and really love is sacrifice. We enjoy each other's company so much, but just for being reminded of love as sacrifice is something that inspires me every day.
And he's very kind with the kids, with me in every situation. And he brings calm and peace in our family, in our daily life. You know, if I'm like stressed out and I start like pick up a pace, he has that ability of bringing us all in peace and like just in harmony. And he always tries to keep us all in a good balance.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, all around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Don't let the devil get out. I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let the devil get out. I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let the devil get out. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
My message for families this time is the message of hope. To never lose hope, no matter the challenges and the trials and the difficulties. I think it's just to keep perspective of the message that the Lord is bringing. It's a message of hope and redemption.
In this season of Advent, where you get a chance to just think of the Lord and think of what you want for your family, it's so worth it. These little faces bring us joy every day, and to not be afraid to welcome life, to have just a family at home that's full, you know, to welcome as many kids as the Lord sends you. We are the Margiotta family, and we are joyfully big. Merry Christmas!